Do you know, I may be the first person in the entire history of the whole world to be a jelly bean juggler. It's something I've always dreamed of doing ever since I ate my first jelly bean. It was a pink one. I was a kid. My grandma gave me my first bag of jelly beans when she took me to the circus. Grandmas tend to do those kinds of things. Oh, and I'll never forget when I ate my first pink jelly bean. It was sweet and juicy and gooey. So gooey, it stuck to my teeth. What's your favorite color jelly bean? Oh, wait, do you know how many colors of jelly beans there are? Well, let's do some math. I'll give you to the count of 8 to think about it. Time's up. If you said 8, you were right. There are 8 colors of jelly beans, and most of them are fruit-based. Do you love fruit? I sure do. And my favorite jelly bean fruits are the same real fruits that you find in gardens and on trees. Strawberries, blackberries, mangoes, cherries, oranges, and apples. And I really, really, really like sour apple jelly beans. Do you know who made the first jelly beans? Well, if you said the first jelly beans were made in 1861 in Boston, Massachusetts by a man named William Schraft, you would be right. Did you know that it takes a week to make a jelly bean? And the best way that I can think of to thank Mr. Schraft is to have a jelly bean. Okay, well, here's a question. Why did Mr. Schraft make his first batch of jelly beans? I'll give you a hint. I always thought it would be so much fun to dress up in a parade like a soldier. I think some of you got it. Mr. Schraft made his first batch of jelly beans to give to soldiers in the Civil War. Do you know much about the American Civil War? You know, I go to the library all the time, and one of my favorite books is about Abraham Lincoln. He was the President of the United States during the Civil War. And it was all about ending slavery and setting people free to be happy. Everyone can eat jelly beans, and everyone should be free to be happy. I wonder how many soldiers ate jelly beans. 10? 100? 10,000? 100,000? Can you count that high? Here's another one. Who is the President of the United States that was called the Jelly Bean President? Okay, let's do some multiple choice. Was it President George Washington or President Lyndon Johnson or President Ronald Reagan? And the answer is President Ronald Reagan. He loved jelly beans so much that every time somebody came to visit him in the White House in Washington, D.C., he gave them a package of jelly beans. I have one more little interesting bit to tell you about jelly beans. Have you heard of the famous musicians John, Paul, George, and Ringo? Well, your parents and grandparents have for sure. They were the very famous musicians known as the Beatles. One day, people found out that George loved jelly beans. So one time, he came to America to sing, and he got off the plane, and a group of teenage girls threw jelly beans at George. He laughed and he laughed, and I bet he gathered up a bunch of them and he ate them. Whoops! 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to count as many jelly beans as I can. It's fun.